Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa. This is the debrief. If you are new to our channel, make sure you are subscribing, smash the likes and comment your thoughts. The debrief's not with Earl, he's on holiday. Justin is joining me. How are you?
Very good, thank you very much.
So, this is going out the day of the game, normally a day after. So, I really wanted to get this out today anyway, because I've got home and I've gathered my thoughts and I've done my usual. I've listened to Unai and reflected on the performance. And I had real disappointment at full time on that fan cam because you've just walked out the ground. You've just threw 2 points away, and I was really disappointed. But the bigger picture is that we've climbed the place in the league, and we actually played pretty decent, to be fair. So, Justin, what are your overall thoughts on the performance before we go into it?
I think we was okay today. I think we was decent enough to win the game. I think the reasons why we didn't, we'll probably come on to later. But I think we just wasn't quite at it. I think that's my overriding opinion on the game. A few hours afterwards, key moments in the game didn't go our way, and when you 1-0 up with even seconds to go, you're always leaving yourself open to this sucker punch kicking the bits, which what happened. So it's a hard one to take, and the fan cams are great because you get that immediate reaction, don't you? And the fact we recorded immediately after the game and the way that game ended, you're going to get an emotional reaction. So it's always good to go home and reflect and have a good think about it, look at the bigger picture, and then give a more measured opinion, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So Unai said we played a fantastic game. Our mentality is to be in the top 7. We deserve to win and dominated. If I want to play this game again, I would keep the same plan, the same. We had control for 30 minutes perfectly. We broke their good press. He also went on to say we drew against Man United after Champions League and we played fantastic. Today was the same. The result is really not a consequence. We did some changes. Morgan has played a lot of games and he's tired, but this is normal. Overall, we played physically well. We have to score the second goal every game, but especially against Bournemouth. First ball, second balls. The control we should have got is by scoring the second goal. I will analyse the game deeply, but for 90 minutes, we avoided their game plan. The referee did a fantastic job. The decision was tight, and I accept VAR sometimes. It's tight, but I accept it clearly. On Bailey and Matty Cash penalties, the referee watched them perfectly, and VAR confirmed it. He did a fantastic job. So those are Unai's thoughts, and Unai, he's always honest, and he never really gets his analysis wrong during a game or after a game. So I think that's pretty telling, really. That first half I thought was a little bit more even-ish. I felt like at times they sort of came at us a little bit more and tried to exploit us. And then I feel like second half we took a little bit more control in the game. So overall, just on the actual performance, what impressed you? And then we'll get on to probably the bit where it does go a little bit wrong at the end. But, what were the pleasing signs?
I think Unai's right with his sort of overall thought of the game as well, and I would also agree. I think the referee had a pretty good game today. That penalty shout, Matty Cash. It's hard to see, in real time, and he was pretty quick on it and not give it, and the VAR, backed him up afterwards. We did a lot of. I think our approach play was decent today. I think in and around the box. I think I said it. In the last couple of games, we're tending to get to the box and playing some really lovely stuff, but we're a little bit tentative when we get in that final sort of, not third, but into the penalty area, really. I think I sort of hope we would pull the trigger a little bit more often. But I think a lot of it was unlucky today. I mean, Tielemans had 2 really, really good efforts in the first half, and I think they're both on target. And and the defenders just, blocked them, which is what they're there for, isn't it? And a huge credit to Bournemouth as well. I think they had a decent enough game plan. I thought the two centre-halves and the keeper were excellent for them today. And we just couldn't quite open them up. We did create some good chances. When Duran come on, Wally Watkins rolls him in, and I think any other day probably buries that, and the Watkins header from the corner. So I think our approach play was decent, but we just lacked that little bit of a cutting edge, killer instinct right at the end. So a lot of good stuff today, but just not quite there.
Yeah, Iraola retrospectively has said that we deserve to win the game, and they weren't at their best either. So, that's quite telling from their manager. If we have a little look now at some of the stats from the game, then, so we had 57% possession, 1.80 XG. I'll go back to a couple of those Kepa saves that he makes. That Duran, that's a big chance. That Duran when Watkins just flicks it and Duran has it opening up, and like you say, Tielemans had some chances. So there were chances there for Villa. We had two big chances. We had 18 total shots. We had 9 corners. We had 429 passes. We made 12 tackles. We had 13 free kicks. We had 7 yellow cards, and they had 6 yellow cards.
337 yellow cards. I think the record's 14 in a game, and we were one away. Yeah.
Oh, that's mad. We had 13 shots from inside the box. You can see that Villa on this little graphic here attacked down the middle, which was something that we were doing. And it's like those moments where the pitch opens up and we're running at a defence and they're trailing back. I think one thing that I probably will say now is that when we are getting into these moments where we've bypassed their press, which Unai is talking about, that we were able to bypass that man-for-man press, I think we've got to make some of these opportunities count a little bit more. It's happening too many times now where Ramsey's running on goal, and he's just got to put that cross in, and it's being cut out, or it's not finding a Villa player. There's too many times at the minute when Rodgers is running in on goal, we're not scoring. And if you imagine that's Mo Salah, something's happening. And I just think we get into so many good areas, but it's just not quite clicking at times. And that's probably being a bit picky, but it is being honest.
I don't think it is being picky. I think that's a. I need to look back at other games, and that seems a hell of a lot of shots inside the box. That does 13 in a game. That's a lot of shots inside the 18-yard box, and that's what bears out what I said before. We get into that point, and it's just breaking down. And yeah, probably today was good defending, and the people who their chances fell to wasn't quite clinical enough, And there was some 2 or 3 really good blocks and stuff. So on another day, I think we win this game, don't we? Comfortably, I think we win it probably 2 or 3-0. We've just left we've left the gate open, haven't we? We've left the back door open, and they've just took advantage right at the death.
And especially in the Premier League, you can't sort of.
I agree.
You can't leave them with anything. It's like you've got a little maggot on a fishing rod, right? And if you just leave it in the water, some big fish is going to eat that little maggot on that fishing rod, right? And that feels like what we did.
They've got some really good players. The lad that scored is a new player, is a new striker, and it was a wonderful finish. It's a fantastic header. It's a really good delivery into the box. He's got the run on 2 players. Disappointing I would be with Duran. I think there'll be a lot of question marks over the defending of that set play. But it's a really good header. He's quite far out. He's got to put it in that bottom right-hand corner to have a chance of beating him, Martinez. So, yeah, a bit of a Hail Mary at the end, but, that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was just a little bit frustrating, I think. So, right, let's have a little look at some of the passing networks then, and we'll go from there, and we'll have a look at how Villa look then. So Villa's passing network we've got here then. So let's just see if we can draw a little bit on it as well. It's pretty good, to be fair. I think it's got exactly what we need. It's got the sort of three at the back through there. So you've got your back three. You've got Matty Cash not going too high. We've got Onana and we've got Tielemans in that double pivot through there again. We've got McGinn offering some width on that right-hand side. We've got Ramsey the same as well. And then we've got a little bit of a network between Watkins and Ramsey. So all in all, that's not a bad passing network, I don't think. If we have a little look at Bournemouth's passing network then, so we can see here now that on their right-hand side, so we'll be attacking down our left, you can see that they're really having to go inside and their right-hand side isn't as fluid as what they wanted, but we was able to really push them back and make them have a really difficult game, really. I think if we have a little look at the average positions as well from a Villa point of view, we can see them through the screen here now, is that, Ramsey was doing a lot of good work getting into that area that I've been speaking about. I felt like second half when he was going down the middle a little bit more and he was a bit more central, I felt like he looked a lot more comfortable doing that. I think McGinn played okay. I don't think Unai will be thinking that it was Super John McGinn, which is the Super John McGinn that he wants to see. But I think he did okay. I thought Onana was okay, gave the ball away in that really bad area in the first half. Tielemans was fantastic as well. Rodgers, okay, not his fluid best either. I don't think Digne had his best game either. But Justin, who would you say was Villa's brightest player?
Just quickly, can you go back to our passing network? Is that easy enough to bring up? Or
Yeah.
not? One thing
Yeah.
that I did say at half time, and I feel that passing network really, really sums it up. Is I do think Watkins was quite isolated today. And looking at that, if you look at Bournemouth, their front players, there's quite a lot of interconnection, interchange with all them. Whereas that one, he's very, there's one passing network to Ramsey, that's it. Then you look at the link-up play that he's grown over the last few weeks and months with Morgan Rodgers. So you're looking then at Rodgers there was a drop-off today, definitely of Rodgers, I think, and this is why he was taken off. And I think that meant that link-up play and that the way them two have dovetailed together, has definitely gone against Ollie Watkins. So it's a difficult one. I think there's lots of question marks over how, and I think he's been fair at Unai Emery. I think he said, I would do the same again, and I don't know. I think this squad rotation thing probably the only thing he might question is playing so quickly after Europe with so many good players. Can they identify a player that there might be a bit of a drop off of energy, which I think was probably the reason why Rodgers was taken off. He did sort of run out of steam, didn't he, in that second half?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that Unai wanted us to win our duels as well, which I think we did pretty well. We've got Conson won 5 of 5, Ramsey won 2 of 3, Luca Dean won 5 of 9. We've got Barkley won 9 of 2, Duran won 7 of 12, Cash won 5 of 9. We've also got Pau won 3 of 7. So on that aspect of it, we did quite well. Yeah, it's a tough one with this rotation malarkey. But what I will say is, again, touching on what Unai said, that he'd do the same sort of game plan again. I think some of these games that we possibly not playing the greatest in, sort of like Man United at home and today at home, is the fact that on another day, if we played this game again, I feel like we'd have won it. The way we played, like if we played this game again tomorrow, I feel like we'd win. And it's not like we're coming on here and we were absolutely terrible and we'd have to play it again and try and win. Like I think that's the beauty of where we're sort of at, really. So it's a fine line between these European nights because we still haven't lost. So we still haven't lost after Champions League night, which is absolutely amazing. And Unai said that he wants to be top 7, and okay, we probably want to be like top 6 really, or Europa League and Champions League, but we're still there, aren't we? Like we've climbed the place in the league, so that's a massive positive as well. If Arsenal lose tomorrow, we're a point above Arsenal, so all is looking well. The one little contentious decision, Justin, and I know you're saying it was over the line. Personally, I'm not sure is the answer. And I think for me, we don't have a definitive answer whether that ball was over the line or not. If someone could show me and say, it's definitely over the line, this is what we've got, then I'd be like, fair enough. But I don't think we have. So that's why I think it's a little bit of a talking point, really. You know, if we go back to this one, so this one was given against Arsenal last season, right? So you can see the grass. And then this one, I don't know, you know.
Right. Do you want to give my opinion?
I
Go
do.
back to the Arsenal one.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that's got going in the favour of why they give it is that still picture is taken at quite an angle. So you look at the angle of the line going from bottom left to top right. Now, if you was to be able to, which you couldn't, swing the camera around to be level with the line, which is basically where, if you look at Ollie Watkins's, they're pretty lucky that still was taken with the line dead centre on the picture. And I think once we've scored the goal, and there was obviously the Bournemouth players were pretty, straight to the referee, that's got outplayed, which, they're more than within their rights to argue that point. Then it has to go to VAR. Then it simply has to. They've got the technology to put this still out. Once it's gone to VAR and it is it or isn't it decision, they have to rule one way or the other. Then they have to. And I think, for me, I still think that there's enough there to say, okay, I think it's pretty fair to say it has gone out. If they'd have gone the other way, based on that picture, I think there'd have been far more, furore over it, and it'd be all over. So it'd be all on Match of the Day. It'd be all on Sky. Oh, how can they? I think, given the evidence presented to them in VAR, if it's the other way, which is why I have to look at it, I wouldn't want that given against us. I just wouldn't. I think there's enough. It's close enough to being out without having 100% definitive answer to say yes. I think we'll give it as out, and I think that's the fair enough outcome. It's harsh because nobody knows 100%, and that's if there's any doubt, then you can argue it. But I think given where it was, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, so towards the end of the game, I was getting a little bit jittery for basically, we'll see the momentum bar now. So if I go to the momentum bar and show you, we have a look at the momentum bar. It's pretty much Villa control, really, until we get to this little period here, right here now, towards the end, the blue. And I was really like watching Unai, and because Cash was getting run a little bit ragged towards the end of the game. And there was one moment where he'd been done, Cash had, and we'd got a bit of a break in play, and Emery had a word with him. And he was obviously telling him what he needed to do. The next time Cash had a 1v1 with a Bournemouth player, he won it. And I was like, I could see there that Unai coaching is, he's getting him back on track, and he won his next duel. And I kind of thought, like, okay, we're fine now, we're fine. But we just started to lose those duels, and we started to look a little bit. The tackles they were slipping it through us, they were popping it around us a little bit. We kept making those fouls. There was a free kick before that one. And then we get that free kick, and Barkley sort of just chops him down and takes him down. And it's really frustrating. But I have a look here now at the defending on this one. And if I have a look and show you, like even Ilson's starting position here, so the ball's there, so it's just left his foot. Look at even Ilson there. Like we've got our line here, but no, he's got a free header if it goes to him. And that's where it goes to. He gets that free header, and it's a great header. Like, you know, I can't say it's like a bad header because it's a really good header, and you know it's fantastic. He's scored from there, but I'll just look at his contact there. Can we do better from that, Justin, or is it just a good header or what?
Look, it's a fantastic delivery. Now, whether they've got a set piece coach or whether that's preordained or whether the takers just looked and saw that Evan Nilsson's got that space and he's thinking, okay, I'm going to feed it right into him. It's a great delivery. It's a really, really good header. You know, only Unai and the coaching staff are going to know who was supposed to be picking him up. They're the only people that are going to know that. So they're the ones that are going to basically have to face up at Bodymore Eve tomorrow or Monday, aren't they? And I think ultimately it is poor defending. He's got far too much space. But then you'd be looking at possibly senior players, maybe Martinez. He's not throwing any of them under the bus, but before that ball's delivered, you would hope somebody had said, who's marking him, who's picking him up. Now, if it is a man marking thing, then that's poor because they haven't picked him up. If they're marking, if it's zonal, then they're picking up areas, aren't they? And then when that ball's delivered in, they've got to be on the toes and ready to shift forward. You know, Duran or Cash. Cash is either going to drop off or Duran's either got to go and engage him. Neither of them do it. And it's a great ball in and it's a brilliant header. Without the really good delivery and without the fantastic header, you know, it's not a fluke goal, is it? It's a really good ball in and a really, really good header. From our point of view, it's just poor defending because nobody's picking him up. No one's picking his run up, and nobody, when the ball's whipped in, has reacted quick enough to go and try and either put him off, you know, just knock him, whatever. However you're going to do it, try and get him away from the ball. But overall, yeah, I think they'll be really bitterly disappointed they conceded that goal.
Yeah, I think that's just the sickener of the performance. Really,
that's the nature of football, isn't it?
Yeah, like we said it. You know, if like I said earlier, if you've got your fishing rod and you got your maggot and you put it in the water, you know someone's gonna come and have it.
Football's not fair, is it?
No, it's not. But you know, we're in a good place. Like we're top of the Champions League. We're third. Like we're third in the league. Just in like.
Not bad start, is it? Third in the league, top of the Champions League.
We're third in the league and doing really well. I think the only little thing here is the away form. We're fourth with 10 points. Home form, we're seventh with 8 points. So it's just not quite been perfect yet at home, has it? And I think
we're not losing games, though, are we? You know, we're putting in some not perfect performances, and we. I'm not saying we're getting away with it because you know Ipswich away, drew. Man United home, drew. Today, drew. You know, we wasn't great against Wolves for a good hour, 70 minutes, but we did. You know, we managed to put enough in to put that to bed. So, and you look at the quality. You know, young boys, Bayern Munich, Man United. You know, we've played some decent sides really over the last 8 games, and we haven't lost. Was it 9 unbeaten now? I think.
Yeah, there is one thing that I will say, and I'm sure we're going to get comments in the comments saying, yeah, but we didn't beat Ipswich, we've not beat Bournemouth, we've got Chelsea, we've got Liverpool, we've got Spurs to come, and personally, I don't look at football like that. I don't look at those games and think, oh my God, we've got Spurs coming up. Anyone in the Premier League can beat anybody. It doesn't matter who they are. So it's totally irrelevant whether it's Spurs, Liverpool. They're all difficult games. We can raise our level and beat anybody anyway. So we've just got to make sure that we're putting these teams away. I think that's the thing. It's not like we've played bad against any of those teams. So it's not like we're playing bad against Bournemouth, bad against Ipswich, bad against Man United. We're doing enough to at least beat Bournemouth and beat Man United. Probably didn't deserve to beat Ipswich, but that's going to be a tough place to go to anyway. So I think a bit of perspective is probably needed because we got Spurs. We could beat Spurs. We got Chelsea. We could beat Chelsea. So, that's where I'm at, really. If you want to add anything,
I have got one question for you on today's game.
go ahead.
So when he decides that Morgan Rogers has got to come off, and I think it was
Yeah,
the right decision because I was looking at it thinking, okay, I think if I'm going to change it now, I think Rogers isn't having the impact he usually has. So he's I can't think of another way to explain it, but he's backed himself into a corner a little bit where when we want to put an attacking challenge on it, it's going to be Duran. Now,
yeah,
he's invariably 9 times out of 10 took Ollie Watkins off and gone like for like. Now, today he's decided to go 2 up top because A, he probably didn't want to take Ollie Watkins off, and B, wanted to get Duran on. But I do feel, and we had this conversation on our chat the other day, I think, would maybe a Buendia type, somebody that could open the teams up. If we could get him anywhere back to his best, and he hasn't had many minutes, but of his profile, could he have been an option today of dropping into to that role? Because he sort of was crying out. Once we went 2 up top and we had McGinn and Ramsey, we didn't really have natural width. So we were sort of a little bit devoid of midfield to attack. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
yeah. I think what happens is, and this is that question of, can Ollie Watkins and Duran play together? Now, they can play together, but you are taking away what we do very, very well. And if you think of Morgan Rogers, what is Morgan Rogers? Well, he's a classic number 10 at the minute for Villa, isn't he? So a number 10 is that creative player that can play between a number 8 and the striker, that can drift around, so he's not structured in one position. But when Duran comes on, it's 2 up top, and he was going a little bit deeper. Like if I quickly just show you his touch map, like he was actually like linking up play, which is something that I've not really seen from him too much. So where is he? So you can see here. So he was coming deep and linking up a little bit of play. But I think what you do is that sort of once you've got Ramsey, who I don't think he's that physical, then you've got Leon Bailey, who I don't think is that physical. I think either side of that as well, you're creating a little bit of a problem, which is probably what we had today. But I do
It
get
just
what you
looked a bit
mean.
unbalanced. You know what I'm saying? Because our set, the way we play, is so structured now, and we know exactly who plays in which role and how it suits us. 1 up top, sort of 2 asymmetric wingers / midfielders that fill them roles in Ramsey and McGinn. Rogers is the key, isn't he? Rogers has
Yeah,
been
he is.
the
He is.
key to link it all together. You know, midfield, two double pivots sitting. Rogers just sits in the middle of those. What is it? Watkins, McGinn, Anana, Tielemans, and Ramsey. That circle there, you just throw Rogers in the middle, and he just everything sparks off him like that. Now, once you throw Duran in there, because he's not that naturally timed player that can run with the ball, can do what Rogers does, it's sort of upset the sort of dynamic of the team. I just wonder maybe in the future, and I don't know whether he'll ever get back to where he was because he's not getting minutes, as I'm saying, but maybe a Buendia dropping in that. And it might be interesting to see him play maybe on Wednesday night against Palace in that role.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see him play. I think, I'll always give honest thoughts on it. I'm not afraid to just not say it, like we both are. But I'm not sure on Wendy. I don't think he's gonna.
No,
I don't think he's gonna feature much.
I think
Not in the Premier League.
his lack of minutes would point towards that he's one of the players that probably might possibly be moved on in the summer because he does lack that physicality, and it's not his fault. He just hasn't got that dynamic in his game. But I
Because
do
like what
wonder
you're
if they could
saying,
get him in.
like what you're saying, if you think of Buendia's overall game and you're thinking, what is he perfect at? Well, he can play those killer through passes. He can link
In
up
the
play
pocket.
really well.
Mhm.
So he should be. If you wanted to say to Buendia, what would be a perfect position for you? He'd love to play number 10. But he's just not playing. Like he's not being looked at whatsoever. And I just don't think. I just don't think he will, and that's not
Well, I
being
think he's got
horrible
to
to
get
Buendia,
minutes,
but
and he's got to get minutes, and he'll play on Wednesday. I would expect against Palace, and it's going to be hopefully a pretty strong side. I hope, and I think there's your opportunity there, Emmy. You're not getting the Premier League. Go on, go and have and he's got to stamp his authority on the game and say, right,
yeah.
next time you're taking Morgan Rogers off in a Premier League game, when you look down your bench and you're thinking, look at me because I can do that. And the only way he's going to push himself into the thoughts of the manager is by having a really good game on Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Well, we've had a good half an hour-ish chat. So debrief. We'll release it the day of the game, so it's quite fresh and we can just get it out there. And hopefully you've enjoyed it. Smash the likes, comment your thoughts up the Villa.
Up the that.